Hello and welcome to another GCSE revision video. In this video we're going to be covering some of the basics of algebra, the definition of terms, expressions and equations. Okay, so let's start off by picking apart an equation and looking at how it's built up. An equation is when two expressions are joined together with an equal sign. An equation tells you that the expression on the left-hand side carries the same value as the expression on the right-hand side. Okay, fair enough, but what are expressions? Well, an expression is a single term or multiple terms added together or subtracted from each other. If we're thinking about expressions, then we've got this equation on our screen, and the parts of the equation that are in the thought bubbles are expressions. As you can see, an expression could be quite complicated, or it could be just a single number or a single letter. In this case, 0 is an expression, but also 2x squared minus 8x plus 6 is also an expression. Alright then, so what are terms? Well, terms are single numbers or single letters that are combined with an operator which is on a higher mathematical priority to addition and subtraction. Man, that order of operations gets around, doesn't it? Put simply, terms can be thought of as the building blocks from which we can build up an algebraic expression or an equation. If we think of the operators that separate terms as part of the terms, inserting a plus if there is no operator, we can comfortably move the terms around within the expression without fear of changing the expression itself. Just like so. Just be careful though that you make sure you assign the correct sign to the terms. The operator in front of the term tells you the sign that that term should have. If it's a plus, it's a positive term. If it's minus, it's a negative term. If there is no operator in front of it, it is a plus or counted as a plus. We can go wrong doing this if we're not careful. 3 minus 2 is not the same thing as 2 minus 3. But it is the same thing as negative 2 plus 3. In fact, 3 minus 2 actually means positive 3 plus negative 2. And if we remember that, we can comfortably move the terms around within the expression as much as we like without fear of changing the expression. However, and there is a big however, there's always a however, isn't there? This one's a really big however. If we move the terms over the equals sign from one expression to the other expression, we swap the sign. So for example, if we want to take that positive 6 term and bring it over to the right hand side of the equation, it becomes a negative 6. Now if we have terms that are all numerical, then we call them like terms. And again, if we have terms that are all combination of a number multiplied by the same letter, then we call them like terms. Or again, if we have a number multiplied by the same letter raised to the same power, then again, those are like terms. And like terms can be combined. In this case, the 6x and the 5x are like terms. And the negative 1 and the positive 1 are also like terms. So they can be combined, but before we can combine them, we have to move them around. So first let's gather the 1's onto the right hand side of the equation. So we can move that negative 1 over from the left hand side to the right hand side, but to do that its sign has to change from negative to positive. Now let's move that 5x over from the right hand side over to the left hand side. Well, it doesn't have an operator in front of it, so we can safely assume that it's positive. So this is positive 5x. So when we move it over to the left-hand side of the equals, it must become negative. Now that we have the like terms all gathered on the same side of the equals, we can start thinking about combining them. So 6x and the negative 5x are like terms and they can be combined. If you have 6x's and you take away 5x's, you end up with 1x. Likewise, we've got a positive 1 and a positive 1 on the right hand side. Since they're like terms, they also can be combined. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So by moving around terms and combining like terms, we've been able to simplify the equation 6x minus 1 equals 5x plus 1 to just x equals 2. Okay, well, so much for the theory. Let's just have a go at moving around terms and simplifying algebraic equations. Let's try something like 3x plus 5 is equal to, let's say, 2x plus 6. Okay, well, what that's saying is you've got 3 times a number added 5, and that comes to the same number as if you've got 2 times a number and you add 6. Well, let's have a go at moving these terms around. Let's take this 2x over to the left-hand side. So this 2x, because there's no operator here, we know that this is a positive 2x. So this has to become negative. And then if we take this plus 5 over to the right-hand side, we know it's positive, but that then needs to become negative. So we've got 3x minus 2x is equal to, we've got positive 6, well, we can leave that on its own, we don't need the plus sign, and then that plus 5 then becomes a negative 5. So now we can combine these like terms. We've got 2x terms on the left hand side, we've got 2 numerical terms on the right hand side, so 3x minus 2x is just x, and that's equal to 6 minus 5 is 1. So what we're saying is 1 is the only answer that will satisfy 3 times the number plus 5 is the same as 2 times the number plus 6. Okay, let's try one more example. Let's say something like 6x plus 3 is equal to 7x. Okay, so again, in this case, all we're doing is looking to get all the x terms on one side and all the numerical terms on the other side. So let's, in this case, to avoid negative numbers, let's just move the 6x over this side. So this time we've got 3 on the left hand side, and that's equal to 7x minus 6x. And now we can combine these like terms. So 3 is equal to, well, if we've got 7x's and we're taking away 6x's, then we've just got 1x. So if 3 is equal to x, then by the virtue of the equal sign, x must equal 3. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Why don't you have a go at moving around terms within an equation and moving terms from one side of an equation to the other and remembering to swap the signs. And I'd like to wish you all the best with your revision and all the best with your exams, and I'll see you in the next video.